Hi, Luke.
Hello.
Hi guys, how's it going?
All right, all right. We're just giving it a couple of minutes and then we'll get started.
Perfect.
Just giving everyone a chance to join. My coffee's not going to last the whole 45 minutes either. I've already drank half of it, so. I'm going to wait for it to tick over to 2 past. And then we'll start. Because we've got a lot to get through. You will have to excuse the coughing as well, guys. I'm ever so sorry. I'll try and keep it as subtle as possible, but I don't think my fingers are quick enough for the mute button. Cool. Okay, so shall we get started then, guys? Cool. All right. So for anybody obviously tuning into the webinar today, I'll just do a quick introduction for myself and then let the guys introduce themselves as well. So my name's Hayley Powers. I am Head of Enterprise here at the Happiness Index. So I look after our enterprise customers, of which the Halo Trust is one of them. And I've had the pleasure of working with Richard from Halo for the last, I think, is it 2 years now, Richard, getting on for?
Yeah, almost 3.
Almost 3, plumbing heck, time flies when you're having fun. So I shall hand over to you for you to introduce yourself as well.
Thank you so much, Hayley. Hi, everyone. My name's Richard Gordon. I am Global Head of Employee Engagement here at the Halo Trust. I work as part of our headquarters HR team. We're based out of Thornhill, near Dumfries in Scotland, but we support our employees across the whole of the organisation. So thank you for joining us today.
Luke, if you want to do a quick intro for yourself as well.
Yeah, of course. Hi, everyone. My name's Luke. So I'm the relatively new technical project manager here, although I've been here a few months now. I've had the pleasure of working with Richard and the Halo team for the past few months and kind of look out after the survey launches and kind of helping you guys kind of get through to that launch period, essentially. And I'm here today just to help out and answer any questions you guys might have over chat.
Thanks, Luke. Yeah, so as Luke said, if anybody does have any questions while we're going through this, if anyone's tuned in live, please do pop your questions in the chat. We will try and answer them at the end, but if we do run out of time, because we have got a lot to get through, then we can come back to everybody on questions afterwards, no problem. But Luke will be monitoring that closely for you. So as I say, we do have a lot to get through. So I am going to go through. I've got my questions that I'm going to ask Richard, and he's going to give us a plethora of knowledge of the Halo listening strategy. So I will just run through the questions. Obviously, I've had the pleasure, Richard, of working with you for the last 3 years, so I kind of know a lot of this already. But if you wouldn't mind, for anybody who isn't familiar with Halo Trust and what you guys do, if you wouldn't mind giving a quick intro first of all, and we'll start there.
Thanks, Hayley. So at the Halo Trust, we have one mission, and that is to protect lives and restore the livelihoods of people affected by conflict. We help countries recover after experiencing conflict. We clear landmines to help save lives, and that's really at the heart of everything that we do. The nature of conflict has evolved over time. And so too has the dangerous debris that's left behind when the fighting's over. So as well as clearing landmines, we also deal with unexploded ordnance, and this ranges from anything from bullets to aircraft bombs. We also do some great work in educating communities to help keep them safe as well from the unexploded ordnance. We also build safe arms stores and systems for securing guns as well. We currently operate in 32 countries across the globe, ranging anywhere from Central America, Europe, Africa, the Middle East, Southeast Asia, and also the Pacific Isles as well.
Wow, quite a reach. It amazes me when you guys talk about what you do. It really does. So what were you doing before you kind of reached out to THI and you started working with us? What did that look like?
Of course, we used to have a really manual process, Hayley, to how we completed our employee listening programs before we introduced the Happiness Index. We use tools in-house like Microsoft Forms to capture feedback from our employees, and that was outputted onto Excel spreadsheets, which were then shared with our leaders and employees to help us build our action plans. We'd also tried a number of different survey formats, different survey questions, that meant really that we got to a point where we didn't have a consistent data set to help us manage and track any trends or any kind of data points over a period of time, and weren't really able to manage or check progress from one survey to the next. It was also, as you can imagine, quite labour intensive because we had to produce a lot of manual reports from the insights and the data points that we captured. Also, as well, the survey only focused on employees who were living in the UK or who were expatriated out to one of our programme countries, rather than including all of our cohort of national members of staff. So, for example, Angolans within Angola, they weren't part of that original scope. The survey also was only done once every 2 years. So that meant that by the time any action was taken, the survey information was out of date.
Yeah, sure. No, absolutely. So obviously a very manual process then. And what was the trigger for you deciding that you needed a more global employee listening program? And what made you pick us, of course?
So we have, as an organisation, experienced really rapid growth over the past 5 to 7 years. And what that meant was that we really need to find a way of delivering our listening programme to a really diverse global audience, and really make sure that all of our employees had the opportunity to share their insight. Our old ways of capturing that employee feedback in-house wasn't really going to work for us anymore. And we really need to think of a solution and an approach, which is why we approach you guys in THI for how we could actually scale our approach up to employee listening surveys. Why we chose to work with you at THI? Good question, Hayley. We decided to work with you because from the first time we started talking to you, you really took the time to listen to us, to understand our organisation and the kind of unique position that we're in within Mind Action, how we work, and also you got a really good understanding of what we're aiming to achieve, and kind of clearly expressed how THI would support us in those aims. Also, you were really collaborative from the first meeting that we had on different solutions for how we could approach our problems, and also sharing your expertise and insight as well, just to make sure that everyone in our organisation would be able to take part and have their voice.
Yeah, no, definitely. And I think we got the same sense from those initial meetings as well, that it was going to be a great partnership sort of moving forward as well. So you decided you wanted to work with THI. Happy days, came to us. We had our initial meetings. What were your kind of initial objectives then for the listening program? How were you going to sort of, I guess, measure its success?
And first objective was just really to make sure that everyone will have the opportunity to share their voice. It's really important to us that we get to hear from anyone, regardless of where they are in the world, which country they're working in, to have the chance and be invited to take part in the survey. We also wanted to have more regular feedback through pulse surveys, rather than the more traditional approach that you heard me talk about before, and wanted to make sure that for our employees to be able to take part in a survey that they knew was anonymous through a centralised feedback tool. Additionally, we also wanted to make sure that we had a range of data and insights that would help our leaders really make informed decisions on where we can look to improve happiness and engagement across Halo. Most importantly for us, we see our listening program as that real opportunity to help understand how happy, how engaged our employees are, and where they tell us where they want to see change. Really importantly, we can make a real difference in areas that our employees tell us are their priority areas. So as much as there's a chance to focus on those real key highlights, really importantly for us is to look at the areas where our employees tell us they want to see real key improvements. We also want to make sure that we be able to use the outputs of the survey to influence our HR strategy. So we've embedded THI, and it's a real key part of driving our HR strategy forwards.
Yeah, no, definitely. Cool, thank you so much. So you've already taken us through obviously what Halo do, your reach, your global reach, and the kind of operations that you have. So we already have a good kind of understanding of the demographic of the people that we're surveying here, that we're reaching out to. I know, having worked with you, some of the challenges that has posed in terms of reaching people. But if you could go through and explain, just for the benefit of everybody else, some of the real challenges that you've had kind of engaging with the employees within Halo Trust, and kind of getting their buy-in for the survey, and obviously getting them to take the survey so that you can get that important feedback from them. That would be great. Thank you.
One of our key strengths at the Halo Trust is that diversity of our workforce. One thing that we're really proud of is that 98% of our over 10,000 global employees come from the countries that we serve. One challenge that we have with having such a global, diverse workforce is firstly planning on how we're going to reach everyone and make sure everybody has the opportunity to take part. Given that we work from anywhere from Central America right across to the Pacific Isles, that's a real key area of focus for us. Another challenge that we're addressing as well is language. It's really important that our employees complete the survey in their preferred language. We have a lot of people with different languages. Some people have more than one language as well, so that's a real key factor for us. We also have some literacy challenges in some of our country programs. So in addition to needing to have the survey available in local languages, we do also have some literacy challenges that we want to address to make sure that our survey is really inclusive and everyone's got a way of taking part, and everyone can take part as well. Another challenge is cultural. Some countries that we operate in don't necessarily have the experience of completing employee engagement surveys. It's quite a new concept in some parts of the world. So it's really key that we help bring people along for the journey and help them understand what it is. Final challenge that we focus on is around connectivity. We work in some really remote geographic locations, and internet connections can be unreliable at times and sometimes dip in and out quite regularly.
Yeah, no, for sure. And the cultural one really surprised me, actually, when we were working with you guys. And it sounds obvious now you say it sounds completely obvious that there will be sort of cultural challenges with people not used to taking surveys. But when we came across it, I remember it was around even things like asking sort of gender or age in certain places was a big no-no, and it was kind of, we had to work around that kind of stuff as well. So it was super interesting for us as well.
Absolutely. It is a really interesting challenge for us. Absolutely.
No, definitely. And I think that's been one of your biggest, overcoming some of these challenges has been one of your biggest wins for this survey. Absolutely. So I guess my next question is, how did we structure your program to try and overcome some of these challenges? I think this will be, for anybody listening who's potentially facing the same challenges, this could be really, really useful information.
Absolutely, Hayley. And we always look at the challenges through collaboration with you guys as an opportunity to learn and look at new ways of doing things. To give everyone a bit of context, we introduced the Happiness Index survey in December 22 initially. For that first rollout, we invited around about 350 employees to take part. We started small, just to make sure that we got our approach right. And we could apply any lessons that we learned, any kind of insight that we were able to garner from that initial launch, and really link that into any future rollout plans that we have. We've then since completed 2 repeat surveys to that same audience, which has grown itself as well from that initial 350 people. And we've also got a regular cadence established now of completing that survey every 6 months, which has helped us develop some real momentum behind the survey. Alongside that global survey I spoke about there, we've also been gradually rolling out the happiness index in the countries that we operate in. We've so far rolled out in Colombia, Yemen, Syria, Kosovo, Somalia, Honduras, Guatemala, El Salvador, and the Ukraine.
So the list goes on. The list goes on. Yeah,
it does. Quite a number of countries so far.
Yeah.
And the reason why we've taken that phased approach, as Hayley will know, but for everyone's benefit, is just to make sure that we can dedicate our time and support to each country program, particularly in the leadership groups as well, and getting it right. So they are prepared for launch. We are prepared for launch as well. And it means that we can also, because we're a pretty small team as well, give hands-on direct support and insight during the survey, helping them prepare beforehand, and also giving them some real insight and analysis to the results once the survey is closed. In each country that we roll the survey out in, we take time ahead of time to think about what language requirements that we've got as well. As you can imagine, we've got a really diverse bunch of countries that we've already launched in, and each one has its own language. So with THI, we build language packs into the platform ahead of the survey going live. And as part of our launch plans, we set dedicated time in place to check the language translations with staff who work in those country programs whose first language is one of those languages, so that we get the translation pack correct. And this removes a really big barrier for us, because if we have people whose first language is, for example, Latin Spanish, it means that by getting it checked, the sentiment or the meaning behind the words that we use in the survey isn't lost. Which there's the potential risk if we hadn't done the translations of that real kind of key translation being lost. We then work with local employees to help us interpret employee responses as well. And they tend to be trusted members of our HR departments and leadership teams. In terms of overcoming literacy challenges, we've been working really closely with THI on developing an app that allows someone to use their mobile phone. So there's no additional kit that's needed there, really, to listen to the survey question rather than reading it off of a screen or off of a page. And that will allow the people to speak their answers instead of writing them. We'll be introducing this technology in some of our future launches where we know we've got particular challenges around literacy, where it's a barrier to people taking part. For the cultural barrier that we mentioned beforehand, we do a lot of engagement with our leadership teams ahead of launching the survey in country, so we can look at any potential barriers that we might experience and look at really practical ways that we can overcome these barriers as well. One key approach where we've found some real success is helping educate our employees on what we're aiming to do and achieve through the Happiness Index survey, and also reaffirming how anonymous the survey is, and involving our employees in conversations around action planning so that they feel involved in the process. So it's something that they have a real say in making a change with as well. On the connectivity front, we do work in some really geographically remote locations in the world, often away from big cities, and reliable internet connections that come with that as well. THI have been developing an offline app which can be loaded onto tablets, which we can then take into some of those really remote areas and locations. And a great benefit of this approach is that that app doesn't need an internet connection to work. And once that app gets back into internet connectivity, the results are uploaded back onto the THI platform as well. And one great benefit we see from this is it means that all employees have got the chance to take part, that their responses are captured, and the survey isn't abandoned partway through it as well if their internet connection drops out.
Yeah, no, definitely. There's so much there. When you literally lay it out all like that, and you go through everything that we've been doing to kind of address some of these challenges that we've had, there's so much, isn't there? There's so much. But that's what makes it a successful program, isn't it? That's why so many people have been able to take part, which is great. The one thing, Richard, well, not the one thing, because I bang on about you guys all the time and how wonderful you are, but one of the things that I do bang on about a lot is your fantastic response rates, because I just think They are phenomenal, given the demographic of the people that we're dealing with, the challenges that we're dealing with, which obviously you've taken us through. And yes, okay, we've done a lot with the platform to address these challenges, but still, the response rates you regularly get sort of in some of these more remote areas, sort of, you know, 70, 80% response rates from the participants. How do you do it? Because it is amazing.
Thanks, Hayley. I've touched on some of this already as well, but one of the first things that we do, and has been really key to our success, I think, is working really closely with our leadership teams well ahead of launching the survey in each country programme. And I think this has been one of the key reasons behind the success and those high response rates that you mentioned before, Hayley. We spend some real key time with our leadership groups where we're planning to launch the survey to help shape that launch and make it really bespoke and specific to that country, and looking at ways of overcoming some of those challenges that we've talked about already. It ranges for anything from that language, cultural, that connectivity as well, and also local customs and any considerations that we might not be aware of from the UK that we need to factor into that launch preparation. We give our leadership teams in country programs data templates. We spend a lot of time before launching as well, talking about what we're aiming to do with the survey as well, and really getting our leaders involved in understanding what THI is and how it can support them, as well as part of their development in programme. We give them PowerPoint presentations, which they can then take and translate into a local language to help them share the message and really drive through internal communications within their country programmes. We also talk really closely about how it's best to roll out the survey in country. So we've got a couple of main options with the happiness index, either by using a universal link that everybody can get access to with a unique identifier, or sending it to people's email addresses as well. So we've got those considerations that we always agree with our leaders. And also, if we send it via the universal link, we'll look at in country whether there's any messaging platforms as well, like WhatsApp or Telegram, that can distribute it via. Some of our countries have got, I suppose, decentralized communication channels. So having that opportunity available just means that as many people can take part as we want to. And I think it'd be really fair to say that those conversations have helped build a lot of trust with our leaders, also with our employees as well, because they've got a chance to be involved in the decision making on the launch. Also as well, they can take ownership of some of the key decisions that we have of launching in their country. We also do a lot of engagement when the survey is live. And we share data and key insights for any updates in terms of completions, ask them if there's any further support they want from us while the survey's live, and help support them with any ongoing communications as well, just to really make sure that employees have the chance to have their say. One thing that's also brilliant, and we work really closely with Hayley and the team on, is once the survey's closed, is delivering THI insight sessions. And these have been really fantastically well received by our leaders, and it's a chance in conjunction with Hayley taking the lead on it, to deep dive into the platform, looking at response rates, looking at any key indicators of any high areas, any areas where we want to look to make improvements, and those leaders to ask questions. And we then task our leaders to go away and make action plans off the back of the survey, just to really make sure that there's some actionable insights as well. Our leaders, I've mentioned already, do take key accountability and ownership of the surveys, and we've seen through where we've introduced THI already, we've seen some real difference in improvements in our employees' working lives, and that's been through leaders championing the process, really making sure that they're encouraging people to take part, listening to feedback, and looking at themes. Where we've seen some real success is where our teams have been involved in action planning, which all teams who've had the survey launched them already are involved in that conversation. So it's two-way, really. It's very much led by our leaders, but also our employees have the chance to take part as well. And it's become a natural part of operations where we've already launched THI, which is brilliant to see.
Love that. We love that.
Yeah. We also are really transparent when it comes to our action planning. We've got an organisation-wide action plan that looks across the whole of Halo, that's shared on our intranet, alongside with local action plans, which are also shared for countries where we've previously launched THI. And having this visibility and transparency makes sure that everyone across Halo can see what we've committed to, what we've seen in terms of improvements or any changes as well, and gives us a chance as leaders to give any updates on actions that we've taken to make improvements in response to employees' feedback as well. We also speak to a number of stakeholders ahead of launch to understand a bit more about the history of the country, a bit more about that cultural context we spoke about as well, because that's really important for us to make sure that we land it in the right way. And the happiness index survey is received as we intend to as well. In some cultures that in the countries that we work in, it can be considered impolite to provide feedback, particularly where it might be seen as negative as well. For us as an organisation, we always see feedback as an opportunity to improve, but there are some cultures where feedback can be a bit of a challenge for people to provide. As well, we also really look at those barriers with our programme leadership team and put a plan in place to make sure that we address those. So one example I can think of to give you a really clear way of doing this is we engaged with one of our programmes around some literacy and language challenges that they had in country, and we really wanted to understand how we could overcome those barriers as well, and make sure that people had the opportunity to take part. They suggested that we look to produce posters ahead of launch, which we could then hand out to our staff to take back home, to share with a family member or someone in our local community to help them understand what the survey is, the types of questions they'll get asked, and they feel comfortable in knowing what they're going to be asked to take part in.
No, that's brilliant. Yeah, I remember when you did those posters as well. That was really good. Not a lot then, Richard. You don't do a lot, no?
One or two things. Yeah.
Just a couple of things here and there. No, that's absolutely brilliant. I know I said I wasn't gonna say much, but I do just want to reiterate how hard you guys work, and it is, and how crucial the buy-in of those leadership teams in the programs has been. I truly believe that has been a lot of the success is your hard work in engaging those guys and getting their buy-in and getting them to really own their own surveys and therefore drive the surveys within their regions. And we see a whole range with all of our customers. We see a whole range of kind of what's the best way to phrase it, levels of effort in that area, I think, maybe. So some people I think just expect the survey to happen without any kind of interaction, and then at the other end of the spectrum you've got people like you that really go the whole hog. And I think I just wanted to reiterate that message because I think that's such an important message for anybody listening, as to how to drive the success of the programme as well.
Absolutely.
No, brilliant. Absolutely. Thank you so much. So moving on then. So have you gained any, I mean, obviously you already understood quite a lot about the culture and the challenges that you were dealing with anyway, but have you gained any other insights from using THI, either through running the survey or the responses that you've had from the survey, and kind of what changes has that sort of led you to implement within the business as well?
Absolutely. So we continue to commit to an organisation-wide action plan in response to our survey, and we use this to focus on the areas that our employees tell us are their key priority areas, for where we can make improvements, and also use it as a bit of a chance to, Hayley, to recognise high scoring areas. So as much as we want to look at making improvements, I think also reflecting and understanding what we're doing really well is a real key message that we can help our employees understand. We take plenty of time after the survey closes to deep dive into the data analyse the comments that we get coming through as well. And the comments and the narrative that we see really helps bring that data to life, and helps us understand the why really behind the scores that we're seeing in the platform. And it means that we can understand why we've got some higher scoring areas, why we've got some lower scoring areas, and really ensure that we can inform our action plan against those key areas we want to make improvements in. Our action plan looks at 3 key themes around personal growth, around improving internal communication, and also well-being. And these are the areas that our employees tell us are really important for them, and they want us to make improvements in. A few examples as well for everyone that we've taken in response to the survey around those key areas of focus is around enhancing those personal growth opportunities. We've done things like introducing a formal mentoring program this year. We've also really recently introduced and expanded our range of leadership learning offers as well. And also we've recruited someone into a role of placements and talent management officer to help really support personal growth and open up those career progression opportunities and routes. Around improving internal communications, we've increased the frequency of our town halls, which our CEO chairs, and have also recently expanded our internal comms team as well. And on the final area of well-being, we've introduced well-being conversations into our appraisal process so that we've got regular touch points now, where employees have got a real opportunity to talk about their well-being and make sure that it remains a top priority for us organisationally. And we've also made improvements around our wellness support as well.
Yeah, definitely. So, I mean, obviously, we will measure the impact that these initiatives that you guys have introduced through the ongoing surveys. Obviously, we run the surveys very regularly. I think we're currently at this every 6 months, aren't we, that they take the survey. So obviously we'll be able to measure the impact through survey scores, the happiness and engagement scores that we're seeing regularly. But have you guys seen any other kind of impacts from, I guess, from a business point of view, any other kind of metrics maybe that you use to measure that you can share with us at all?
No, thanks, Helen. We've seen some real key metrics and measures from completing the survey and looking at our action plans. Yeah. One of the first ones I wanted to talk to you about is our attrition rates, our staff attrition rates. We've been able to reduce our staff attrition by over 10% since we've introduced the happiness index, which is a real key measure of success for us, and just the impact that THI has had on our retention. We've also introduced a range of new benefits for our employees as well, focusing on some key areas around international retirement plans for our staff who work outside of the UK, and also introduced new healthcare benefits for employees as well. We've invested in our training and development really significantly. And since we've launched the survey, our budgets have doubled based on the fact that personal growth is a key development area for our employees. And also, finally, we've got accountability at the right level. We have our managers using action planning to improve their team's working lives as well. So, again, a few real key successes that THI has really helped us get under the hood of.
I'm not going to lie to you. I did get goosebumps then when you were going through all those. I was just like, oh, so proud of them. But no, it's honestly, it's phenomenal, especially the attrition. That 10% is huge. That's amazing. I'm so pleased for you guys. Wow, so much to digest there. But Richard, tell me, what is next? What is next? What are your plans for this?
Yeah, actually, Hayley. So longer term, we want to invite all of our over 10,000 employees to take part in the survey. And to kind of achieve this, we've got a continued program of rollouts of surveys across our global workforce. We're doing it, as I mentioned before, in a real phased way so we can offer that dedicated support. But we have got a long-term goal that we're working towards of ensuring that all of our over 10,000 employees will be able to take part. And also, we're looking to see about expanding the range of surveys that we use the THI platform to deliver for us as well. There's a number of pre-built surveys in the platform that we're looking at and reviewing to see where they can add value and give us more insight to our employee happiness engagement.
Yeah, no, definitely. I'm sure you said it at the top of the call, but at the moment we just use the cultural assessment survey, don't we? So the main kind of overarching survey, but we are looking at more deep diving surveys as well. So that'd be great to do that as well. And then you'll really get the benefit from the platform as well, like more value from the platform.
Absolutely.
That's brilliant. Wow. Okay. So that brings me to the end of all of the questions that I wanted to ask you. Thank you ever so much for going through that and in so much detail as well. I have no doubt that information has been helpful to so many people. Luke, I don't know if we've had any questions at all in the chat. We've got a little bit of time if we have.
It's been a quiet chat. No text questions have come through. But if anyone does,
I'll take that. Basically, Richard answered everything that anyone would ever want to know perfectly, and there was no need to ask anything else. So I will take that. But obviously, if anyone does have any questions afterwards, then obviously reach out. We can definitely answer them. Richard, I don't know if there was anything else that you wanted to add at the end. Otherwise, I guess we can wrap it up for today.
No, thanks, Hayley. Thank you for the opportunity to be able to talk about the great work we do at the Halo Trust and also about where we've really seen an impact with the Happiness Index survey as well. It's been great being able to take part in this webinar and share some of our insight and our experience as well. And I hope for those of you who are listening, you've been able to take something away from today that can help you with your employee listening strategy.
So much useful information there. And I just wanted to say thank you as well. Firstly, for doing the webinar and sharing all of your knowledge with us, but also just for the last 3 years. It's been a ride. It's been a ride, but no, it's been an absolute pleasure to work with you guys. Honestly, I couldn't be prouder that I've been part of this. And yeah, long may it continue, basically.
But thanks, Hayley.
Wonderful. Thank you, everybody who's tuned in, listened in to our ramblings today. And yeah, I guess we'll close it there. Thanks so much, everyone.
Everyone. Bye.